Hello, hello, hello. The weekly Wednesday live Q&A, baby. Today we're going to talk about tools, accessories that I feel every guitarist should own. Hello, Mibu. Nice to have you here. Keep on those comments coming to the chat so I know who's there. The idea for this video has been kind of brewing for quite a while, and while I have definitely mentioned many of these items on earlier videos and podcasts, I felt it's a good idea to dedicate a whole stream to this topic that I find is often presented in a bit haphazard way, like cutting corners in the attempt to sell you something, and often enough, frankly speaking, sell something you don't necessarily need. Well, I'm not selling you anything. I'm not selling you these items, just sharing my own experience, no more, no less, in the hope that it will make your life easier and maybe even your guitar play better. So there is particularly one video we did earlier. It's called Zen and the Art of Guitar Maintenance. This was filmed together with my son Sala some time ago. Now that video dives deeper into how some of those tools are used, and you'll find the link in the description of this video below. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, just click yourself to YouTube, search Zen and the Art of Guitar Maintenance. Should pop up first in line, that video of ours. And this time we will do a countdown from 9 to 1. The items are in no particular order of importance, except that I have again saved the most important one last. So yep, hands down the most important one, and at the same time a very much overlooked piece of equipment that often gets lost among all the rest of it. That's coming last. That's the number one. So we're starting from number 9. But before we go into it now, I'm sure there are items, tools, accessories that I'm not listing, despite the fact that you find them absolutely life-saving. So please do leave your tips, your comment for the rest of us. So remember, it's always a two-way street. You give some, you get some. I would be happy to also learn, important items, accessories, tools that you find as a guitarist that are really important. And okay, I realize this is quite a visual video. So those of you listening to this as a podcast and you can't see the stuff I'm showing, I'll try my best describing what's going on. But often I forget in the heat of the moment. You know how it is. So if you find you're missing something valuable, that you kind of don't get the meaning when you don't see the images, please do tune in on our YouTube and check this particular one out as a video. So that's that. Okay, let's go. Number 9, a very simple tool that I'm sure a lot of you, these are, many of these things are self-evident. A lot of you guys already have these in your toolbox, but I'll just go through my selection. So, because I might have maybe some piece of information about that tool, about that accessory that maybe you find helpful. I hope so. So a string winder. These, there are a lot of different kinds available. String winders, and I've had many of them over the past decades, and most of these things are made of plastic. This one too. There are some fancy ones made of ebony, made of metal. There are things like that. But I'm looking at this purely from the practical point of view and finding a good tool. Good string winder. It gets the job done and it lasts. It doesn't break when using it. So that's what it is. Dennis, hello. Ruben, hey, you're there too. Ruben, you're saying if you missed it, what did you miss? I'm not sure. Ruben has missed something. Not sure what it is, but anyway. So, the cheap ones. Some of the very cheapest ones, they're made of very poor quality plastic, and many of them break really easy. So you know, and there's this slot for different size tuner knobs, and in some winders, the designers, the manufacturers, they don't always kind of seem to know what they're doing, because sometimes the common tuners won't even fit into these slots that are supposed to then. So I've been using for a long time this is a Planet Waves winder. So it's made by D'Addario, I think. Planet Waves, D'Addario is kind of the same thing. It's not a really any high-tech tool, so in this one also, I think the only weak point I've kind of figured out is the screw in the middle. It can get loose when winding a lot of strings. I've glued it in with a drop of thread locker, so I screwed it out. I put a little bit thread locker to the screw and screwed it back, and that solved the problem. So these have been in my daily use for maybe 10 years or more. I have another one for bass. It's also by Planet Waves. So I'd say these are pretty good ones. If you have a better one that you know of, please let me know. I'm interested. Yeah. Okay. Ruben, you're not late. You're right in time. We're moving on. Number eight. Not another simple tool. Self-evident. Look, guys, most of these are self-evident. Most of these, the more, you know, the longer you've been in the biz, the longer you played guitars, maybe you all know this stuff, and this is just like, you know, boring. Isn't there anything new? But let's see. Just hold to it. There might come something. So string cutters. Come on, it's you have to have a string winder. You have to have string cutters. And you know, talking about again, I'm mentioning here how to use these tools. Why, when you have a string winder, how does it help you when you're stringing up a guitar? We'll get back to that later. Not on this video, but I have something to tell you about it at the end of this video. So we'll get to that. Yeah, so string cutters. Remember, this is a safety tool. It's not only for your convenience of being able to cut strings easily. It is a safety tool. So those sharp string ends pointing out from a guitar headstock, they can be, and I'm not kidding, they can be seriously dangerous for eyes especially. So always cut the excess string off. Or if you don't have a tool at hand, wrap the end of the string into a roll so you won't poke the guitar to anybody's eyeballs, you know. Or a child hurts himself or something, herself. So be mindful about these things. So another aspect worth mentioning about this particular tool is that, you know, guitar strings are quite hard material. The plain strings and the core of the wound strings, it is piano wire. And piano wire is pretty hard. So if you'll try to use cutters meant for electronics, because you might be tempted to, because you go to hardware store, you see really nice, handy, small-sized cutters, and you think that, okay, these are great cutters for my strings, but you know, if they are meant for electronics, in other words, meant for cutting copper wire, you know, try cutting piano wire with those cutters, and you just ruin the cutters. So you needed something a little bit more heavy duty than that. Now, this is stuff that you can buy from, you know, guitar stores, online stores, wherever. But I find that sometimes, quite often even, you know, you look at those tools, and I'm thinking to myself that, okay, this tool, if you go to a pro hardware store and you look at that, I mean, they don't even have that low quality tools there. And you could get, you know, for that same money, you could get much better tools from somewhere else than a guitar store. Just being plain honest here. I mean, there are some specialty tools that you cannot get from anywhere else, but stuff like this, the cutter, some other things that we'll get to in a moment, you know, you'll find them better quality sometimes from other places. Well, we have bigger cutters at the shop, but in my Guitarist tool bag that I have these little ones. I've had the same, but side cutters, you know, they would work as long as you're careful with them. I'll throw another tool into this kind of bundle together with the cutters. So we're not going to the accessory number 7, where I just throw in another pliers. These are actually, look, they're a matching set. They're sisters. So I bought them 30 years ago as a set, I think. And so nose pliers oftentimes come handy when handling strings. So bending a nasty sharp end of a string downwards at the post so you don't hurt your fingertips, or you don't tear the lining of your gig bag or something like that. So that's something that you can do. And yeah, so it's handy to have these two kind of, the cutters and the pliers and the nose pliers in your bag. Great, I'm getting there. There's some tips from you guys coming in. Great. Let's see if we are covering those topics too in a moment. So we move on. Next, number 7. Now this is, again, it's more like a bundle of tools rather than one specific tool, but I have a name for it. I'll call it the keys of your guitar. Okay, the keys of your guitar. An example, let's say you have a Fender Strat. You can replace that with the guitar you have, the bass you have. So the keys of your instrument, in this case, they would be those hex keys, possibly screwdrivers that you need to keep that specific guitar in shape. In detail, typically it would be the truss rod key. We're talking about the Strat here. So it would be the truss rod key, and it would be the hex key to adjust the bridge saddle height. The little key that you can't hardly even see in the screen there. It's somewhere there. Anyway, you might need a Phillips 1 size screwdriver to adjust the intonation of your Strat traditional style whammy bar. Perhaps another screwdriver, Phillips 2. I don't have it here, but I have it in the bag, to tighten the neck bolts, to adjust the vibrator springs. It's the same screwdriver that works for those. You know, if you want to go crazy, you can add some socket wrenches to tighten the tuner post, the potentiometers, the jack, things like that, such as what I have here. I have here a set of 3 wrenches with T-handles, you know, to do those aforementioned tasks in many of our guitars. So the biggest one would tighten a jack, the middle one would tighten the potentiometer nuts, and the smallest one would tighten Goto tuners that have the nuts like that. So I have those like designated for that purpose, and each one is kind of marked for that task, that it works for that. But again, this is kind of over the top. It's borderlining to be like repair shop tool, or you know, luthier's tool. You don't necessarily need it, but it's handy to have something. It's anyway, if you are tightening those nuts and things from time to time, it is better to have dedicated wrenches for the purpose, rather than, you know, like some kind of multi-tool that does it, because again, you might easily cause more damage than anything good with such a tool. Anyway, but before we move on, a few hopefully useful remarks. So okay, I have here, you know, a bunch of these hex keys, the Allen keys as they're called, like so. So how do you know what keys, which ones fit your guitar? Because the screws in guitars, they can vary from metric to imperial, meaning millimeters to inch standards. There can be both types screws in a guitar, regardless if that instrument is made in USA, Germany, China, Finland, wherever. And I mean really both types screws in one guitar, because sometimes the guitar might have Japanese tuners that are using the metric standard for the screws and bolts and nuts and things, and some of their bridges Goto uses also, but at the same time Goto uses to some of their bridges, for whatever reason, they use imperial standard screws. So, and you know, so it can be really a mixed bag. So okay, so how do you identify, how do you make the right choices? In our guitars, and many other guitars, I mean, the correct keys, they come with the guitar, and the types are listed, the exact types of keys, they're listed in the manual provided with the guitar. Okay, fair enough, keys can be lost, the manual gets always lost. You know, not all guitars have keys with them, so you cannot rely on that kind of information. So sometimes, you know, and sometimes a guitar can even have, you know, you buy a guitar and you have a mismatch of keys provided with it that don't fit to your guitar. So that's it has happened. So another source of information, very generally speaking, would be the interweb, but it can be very confusing. Sometimes it's very difficult to find out what size little hex keys, the Allen keys, the bridge of a certain guitar factually has, because people are assuming a lot of things. People are saying opinions as facts, and so a lot of misinformation there. So people, here's a good tip for you. Very commonsensical, simple way. So take your guitar in the case, go to a very good hardware store, maybe a music store as well, but I would bet for a hardware store that you have checked beforehand that has that stuff covered. They have the little sizes of the millimeter, the metric keys, and they have the inch keys. There are just shops around. They could be industrial hardware stores, whatever, but they are there. So you walk into that shop with your guitar and you try the keys there. So again, remember, keys of your guitar. Collect a set of keys to your guitar, or if you have many guitars, don't collect one bundle of keys that then you are kind of confused which keys are for which guitar. Make them dedicated sets of, you know, this is my Strats keys, and you put them into a pouch or you put them into a little whatever. And this is the keys to my Tele, this is the keys to my that guitar, my Les Paul, whatever. You know, so you go to that hardware store, you try the keys there, and when a key fits, it's snug, it doesn't wobble around. You know, it doesn't feel very loose. That's how you know it's snug, it fits. It's good key then. Then it goes all the way down. It doesn't go just to the kind of the top of it, but you can't press it all the way down. So that it's no good. And the same goes with screwdrivers. When you have screwdrivers that you want to tighten certain screws, when I said Phillips 1 is a certain kind of a screwdriver that works good for certain screws. If you try it for other kind of screws, you're just gonna mar and break the screw, and it's gonna look horrible after that. So it's a good idea to have these worked out. Well, I got a very specific question related to this. Hex keys, Allen keys, from Gilles Morneau. I'm not sure if that's correctly said. Gilles Morneau. Gilles Morneau? I don't know. Gilles, he has struggled quite a bit with this issue, not finding the right keys to his guitar. And he has gone to the length of finding out that even measuring the darn things doesn't necessarily help, because the measuring tools that are easily available, calipers in this case, particular case, they aren't always accurate. So Gilles asked my advice about what measuring tool to use. So Gilles, thank you for, first of all, thank you very much for your very good question. Let's address this. First off, depending on the quality, hex screws, they have a tolerance of something. So if a hex screw says 1.5 millimeters and you fit a 1.5 millimeter hex key into that screw that says or is 1.5 millimeter, the chances are that the fit is not perfect. You know, it can be the key that is of poor quality, it can be the screw that is of poor quality, or it can be both. So while it isn't a perfect world and a very slight looseness can be acceptable, so even if you, Gilles, or I don't personally like it that the keys don't fit like that, but a tiny bit can be acceptable because we don't have sometimes an option. But again, I'll repeat what I said earlier. In this case, also the safest way is to take the guitar somewhere, a hardware store, industrial specialist, where they have a selection of professional quality hex keys at hand, hex tool, and hex screws at hand, and you can try. You can try the keys, and you find, and you at the same time it's a learning process for you. Well, you also mentioned, Jill, you mentioned a specific case where you've had to grind a hex key. I want to address this. You've had to grind a hex key shorter in order for it to fit to a particular application in a Floyd Rose bridge. So you had something like this. You had a key like that, and you've grinded it shorter. Maybe you've taken 5mm off. Doesn't matter. You've taken something off to make it fit somewhere nicely. So I just wanted to address that if you do something like that to your hex keys, so you need to make absolutely sure that the key doesn't heat up too much. It shouldn't go very hot when grinding it. So you have to have it like grind it with water, or grind it with lubrication that takes down the heat. Because if this key heats up too much, it's a hardened piece of steel, and the hardening is gone if it heats up. So your key becomes too soft after the grinding, basically useless, in other words. Okay, so I just wanted to say that. You also asked advice about choosing good quality calipers. We're again borderlining of being a repair shop or whatever. But for those of you who are the engineer type and you like to measure things, you want to get on top of things like that. So I'll just show what we use here, and I hope this helps something. We use here most of the times this is calipers, people. If you didn't know what is calipers, this is calipers. You can measure here, you can measure at that end, you can measure also here. So there's three ways to measure with calipers. So these calipers, this is a Japanese tool made by factory Mitutoyo calipers, Mitutoyo, Mitutoyo calipers. Typically we wouldn't use the digital kind, but these analog types with the mechanical ones with both millimeter and inch readings, and these measure and are calibrated to 0.05 millimeter accuracy. And Japanese tools are often professional Japanese tools. They're very good, and to our experience, the Mitutoyo caliper, they're as accurate as calipers can be. There is the digital kinds that are really super accurate. There are cheap digital ones, but better steer clear from that stuff. And if you buy really pro Mitutoyo digital calipers, it's very, very accurate. We've never felt the need of having those. We're using mostly these. We do have digital calipers to kind of just to check these babies from time to time that they work as they are supposed to be, so we compare. But typically these are without the digital stuff, without the battery. They go for years and years and years and years in professional use, and they have very little breaking parts. If you drop it on the floor, it can break, but you keep good care of your tools, it will serve a lifetime. Yeah. So who sells these? I don't know. I mean, a lot of online places probably sell these. Farnell is a worldwide web shop that sells all things electronics and measuring tools like this. So that's one place to go. I mean, I think we bought these from Farnell, Farnell, Farnell. They are worldwide. So yeah, and these particular calipers. Sorry, people, this goes very, very technical now. We're moving on in just a second, but just wanted to say this to Jill. This particular caliper, the reference here, 530-104. 530-104. Professional all the way, but this is actually pretty basic Mitutoyo calipers. It's not their, flagship or something fancy as that. It's pretty basic, but they only make pro tools, so hope this helps. Yeah, before we move on, let me show you one thing. This is a combination tool. Someone mentioned there in comments another sort of like a do-it-all tool, the ESP tool. This is a tool that I've heard people are using. So I don't have it here. I don't have even a picture, but you will find it when you Google it. What is an ESP tool? People, you can find it. It's a tool that you can use for several tasks. And typically I'm very skeptical about this kind of tools. But prove me wrong and write your comments. Maybe it's a great tool. Maybe I'm just cynical old hag. No, not hag. What is that? Cynical old man. Yeah. So that's So yeah, that's something like that. Anyway, this is a combination tool. So not the ESP tool, but another combination tool. Let me see if I can get it sharp. Sharpness come, please. Yeah, there it is, sharp. You can see it there. Yeah, it has a string winder, it has hex keys, it has a couple of screwdrivers, and even a sorts of a string cutter in it. There's all kinds of things in it, built in. It's pretty expensive. It's made in USA, it says here. But I've had it for a long time. I don't know if they even make this anymore, but and let's get one thing straight. This is a really, sorry, the microphone. This is a really nice quality tool. It's very, very nicely made. The hinge there where it turns and the quality of the material, everything feels sturdy. It kind of feels better quality than the tool that I referred to here earlier. The string winder is good and nothing wrong with the quality of each one of these tools integrated to it. But the principle of it, I still can't really wholeheartedly recommend this tool. I remember last time we talked about the Swiss multi-blade knives and compared that with do-it-all guitars. And well, with tools, it is really, sometimes they're priceless. Like I love my Leatherman, a great utility tool on travels and some situations. Yes, it's great. It's really can be a lifesaver. But again, the chances are that, if we look at, again, the reference, the keys of your particular guitar, the chances are that this multi-tool does not have those keys of your guitar in it. Partially, it could have them, but if you rely on this, and the hex keys, for example, they're almost fine, you might just ruin your hex key, your hex screws with this, using this. So it's not like dedicated per guitar. It's just kind of an approximation of certain things, and it's also pretty clumsy to use like this. To cut a string, you need to slide the string through into this tiny hole, pull it through, and then cut it. Okay, it does cut the string, but hey, it's just not very practical. Yeah. So cynical old fool, that's the word. Cynical old fool. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Instead of multi-tools, I'd have the string winder, the hex keys, screwdrivers, cutters all separate. Well, my string winder, actually, it does have a cutter built into it. I didn't even show it. It's here. There is a cutter there, and it works somewhat okay. You can use this, but compared to proper end cutters, nah, not really, not my cup of tea. So the last tip about hex keys, this is endless, I know, but I learned this from Tommy, one of my luthiers here at the shop. Look, I have here a set for one guitar. Well, actually I have, 1.5 guitars. There's a set for one guitar. See the red tape. Why? Why is there red tape there, people? Well, because especially the small keys, you know, when I drop it to the floor, the color helps me to find it quicker, because it's very small. It's black. If I drop it on, you know, black carpet or wherever, somewhere it's dark, I can't locate it, so I have it red. Maybe even better would be yellow or something. I just had yellow tape, so you know. I think this is a great tip, because I drop things sometimes, and I find this very useful. So I have all my keys taped like that with color codes. So I find them. Moving on, next. Good Lord, how can anyone have so much to say about hex keys? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, the next one is easy. It won't take that long. And this is another no-brainer, self-evident, obvious thing that, why am I even talking about it? But, well, that's why I'm talking about it. It's so obvious. Everybody has to have it. Buffing cloth is also an accessory, a tool, and it doesn't have to cost a dime. You can use pieces of old t-shirts. Works remarkably well. You know, softened cotton, it really works, and you can get a new look for yourself. You know, rip some pieces off, and you all of, you know, sudden you have a cool look with that ripped off t-shirt. But if you want to go fancy, you can get a microcloth of some kind. I have here 2 examples. This is one here. I'm gonna show you these. It's kind of funny, but I'm gonna show you, because this is actually quite nice. It's from Taylor Guitars. I think I got it as a gift from, that's why I'm showing it. I got it as a gift from Peter Alexius years ago. Regards to Peter. It's a very nice and soft cloth. And I actually, to truth be told, I use this one to clean my computer screen. You know, but it's great for guitars, obviously too. And you know, and another one. This is what comes. This is a dirty one. This is a used one, dirty one. But there's a logo, so I can do the advertisement moment. Where is that? No, that way. Now we've advertised my guitars. Go see that, seriously, that video. There you will get lots of tips how to use these things. But just one thing, kind of more like learning a habit, you know, to give your guitar a quick wipe after you've rehearsed, after you've played. Every time you put the guitar down, you give it a little wipe. See, especially the neck and the strings, even under the strings, you kind of slip this under the strings, and you, because it fits to move there between the fretboard and the strings, you know. So you string the sweat off a bit, and it's good to go until next practice. It's just a good habit of keeping your guitars in a nicer condition, and not needing so often for kind of a more thorough checkup for it. So okay, I didn't have more to say about buffing cloths, apparently. So moving on to my accessory number 5, which is another bundle. It's a bundle of 3 different wet stuffs, chemicals. So I'm bundling here 3 essential substances that you should have in your toolbox. And we're starting with this. I believe someone mentioned this. I think it was Ruben who mentioned this. Oh, Ruben mentioned this brand. I'm gonna advertise. So I'm not affiliated with this company in any way whatsoever, but read there at the top of that sticker, Music Nomad. That's the brand. And this particular substance, the Guitar Detailer, cleans, protects, removes fingerprints, dust, whatever. restores original finish. Well, this is not a it's not a buffing compound that takes off scratches of your guitar. Don't mix this up with that. And those things you need to be, if you are using that kind of stuff that actually are buffing or there's sanding components in those, you could buy them from car paint suppliers or whatever, places like that. But if there are some sanding components in there, you should be super careful, because if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna ruin the finish of your guitar. I promise that. So don't put those things on a guitar before consulting with a pro. But this is safe. So this is actually, it's a cleaning compound. It's not a buffing compound. It polishes, yes, it takes the dirt away and things like that. There are lots of different kinds. Some of them are rubbish that leave a tacky residue on the guitar. They might have, some of them might even have silicones in them, which is not good. Others have a very strong odor to them. This one has also kind of a new car smell. I think we call it here at the shop, the guys call it the new car smell, because it has something like that. Ruben, their string winder, Guitar Nomad string winder is a revelation. I'm gonna check that out. I like this. Now I'm starting to like this. I learn new stuff also. That's great. So yeah. So I'm actually not so surprised, because I don't have usually time to check out what all kinds of things these companies have to offer, and if something works at our shop, we're just using it, and you know. Yeah. So yeah. I'm happy to hear that they have a better, hopefully a better. I'm critical. I'm suspicious, but I'm gonna give it a try. So they might have a better string winder than I've been using for good part of my life, which is quite frustrating in a way. But anyway, yeah, some guitar polish compounds, they just don't do what they're meant to do. They don't clean the guitar. So this is what we use, the guitar detailer, and we've tried tons of different kinds. I think this is the best, hands down. It's the best I've found. It even cleans a tacky nitro finish reasonably well. And yeah, and I should mention one thing, even though it's also in that Zen and the art of guitar maintenance video, but I'll mention here, guitar polish compounds, they can be used for all lacquered surfaces of the guitar. They can, they can be used for plastic metal parts. But don't put it to an oiled, waxed fretboard or an oiled neck or any part that doesn't have like a hard finish on it. So, because this has water in it, and water is not good for bare wood or oiled wood or waxed wood. So yeah, for more detailed description of use, watch that Zen video I referred to earlier. And if you don't want to spend money to this stuff, you can make a solution of water and a drop or two of dishwashing liquid. Works remarkably well. I did that for years, even as a professional luthier. But more recently, I've become lazy and the truth is that this stuff is a tad better, especially with those nitro lacquers that can be a bit tricksy. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna just bring up one thing here. Just a second. Let's show this to people first. Ruben says, the Guitar Nomad string winder is a revelation. There's another ad for them. Wait a minute, what has happened to my picture? Do we get a picture back? No? Okay, guys, we have a technical issue. Let's see if I can fix it. We'll fall back to my second camera. Sorry about that. Looks like my camera froze. So sorry about that. Don't know what went wrong there. Yeah, we're moving on. So we're moving on to the second substance, which is okay. Freeze now. Yeah, okay. But I think we're back now. Please let me know that we're fine again. I think we should be fine again. In any case, we're moving on to the second substance, fretboard conditioner. Now, notice I'm not using here the word oil. I'm not using the word lemon oil or things like that. I'm using the word fretboard conditioner. It might be a word that I've invented myself, but be careful with oils. I've talked about this on other videos. What's that Zen video? Shortly put, oils, they penetrate rather deep into the fretboard wood, and when treated repeatedly, when the fretboard is oiled repeatedly, the oil seeps slowly deeper and deeper. Well, with a dense, tropical wood fretboard, ebony rosewood, that is a kind of an oily wood by nature, you probably won't do any harm, probably, but especially those oiled necks and other kinds of applications where the oil just gets deeper and deeper, and you can eventually saturate the wood with oil. And when that happens, you will hear it. The timbre of the neck, the sound, or the resonance of the neck that contributes to the tone of your guitar, it slowly shifts to, in lack of a better term, your guitar will sound like a wet sock, or something like that. And so instead of lemon oils, things like this, instead of these commercially available guitar-specific substances, we use this. We buy it from hardware store. I think it's available worldwide. In Europe, it's available. I think it's available worldwide. But yeah, this is what we have. It's called Osmo wood wax. It has some oil in it, but mostly it's a mix of natural waxes. And it works really great. And regarding instructions how to use this, watch the Zen video. One tip though, this stuff is sold in cans like this. I think you can buy it, like I mentioned, worldwide, and there's a smaller can available as well. But in any case, this can is not very handy. So what we do here at the shop, we bottle it ourselves to these. So we bottle it, and this plastic bottle is meant for hair dye. And it works great for this purpose. So it's a perfect way to apply this wax to your fretboard from this bottle. There are smaller bottles available, so you can ask your hairdresser if nothing else helps. Someone is saying there, Osmo 31 referenced 3101. Is that the reference? I think it was. Yeah, 3101. So it's a natural. It doesn't have any color in it, stuff like that. So yeah, but the can is not nice. So this is better. This is better for use this. And let's see, where was I? Chemicals, conditioner, somewhere here. Yeah. Before moving on, I'll repeat instructions. Do what our Zen video says. Do not follow the instructions in this can. do what our Zen video says instead. I'm not going to tell you, so you have to watch it. Puninja says, so no lemon oil on my aluminum necks then. Well, you can use it on aluminum. You could use it on aluminum. I'm not sure if lemon oil is best for aluminum. I mean, it won't seep deeper. It won't sink into aluminum in any case, so it's safe in that way. But, you know, aluminum necks are a bit... I wouldn't even have experience of that, so I can't really say what's the best stuff for that. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. We're moving on to the third chemical of our bunch. It looks like we're very late in our schedule. Apologize, it's going to be a long video, long evening today. Yeah. So, electronics cleaner. This is what we use. Where is that? I'm mixing my cameras now because I had to change the camera. So we're using this Deoxit Fader F5. There is another one, Fader D5, that is meant from metal to metal. This is plastic to plastic and plastic to metal. This is safe for components that have plastic parts in them. And this is often the case nowadays. So often parts like pots and things, they have plastic components inside. So yeah, the Fader F5, it's great stuff. And why do we use this? We've tried many. Again, this is the best. I know that loads of guitar techs around the world use it too. You know, it works for pots, for switches, your stomp box, foot switches. There are other substances that work as well. But pay attention that when cleaning scratchy sounding pots or switches, the contact spray has to be a lubricating type. There's another type that does not lubricate, but rather kind of drives all of the lubrication away. And this is meant for other kinds of electronic applications, not for pots, not for switches. If you put that stuff into a pot, the part most likely dies in an instant. It freezes like my video did in a moment ago. It literally doesn't turn anymore. So, more precise instructions how to use this stuff, the Zen video. I need not repeat that soon, I think, because this is not about teaching you how to use these things. So here comes the tool. We're doing the countdown from 9 to 1, and we are now number 4, and it's already 10 to 10 p.m. here. Oh my God. Okay. Tool number 4, action gauge. This was first my number 1, the most essential one, the most important one, until I realized there's something that is even more important. So apparently the guitar action gauge landed at number 4 this time. It's important nevertheless. And why is this so important? Because it is a tool to calibrate your mind more than anything. If you're the type of a player who tends to worry about whether the action has changed, is it good? You pick up the guitar, ding, ding, is there something not right? If you're kind of worrying about that, thinking about that stuff, if you're sensitive to that stuff, and it's okay if you are, but if you're that way, then this tool is especially, important for you, the action gauge. So if you tend to worry about the guitar adjustments every time you start playing, make it a habit, to grab your action gauge and quickly check if the action is the same as it was yesterday when you felt the guitar was great. And if you notice, yes, it's the same action as yesterday, then great. It's good to go, no worries. You've calibrated yourself, you've given yourself peace of mind. You don't need to think about it. Now you can just forget about it and play. And on the other hand, if you do notice that the action is not the same, then you quickly tweak the truss rod a tiny bit, because that's what has changed from yesterday. Nothing else has changed. If something has changed factually in the guitar, it's 99.9% times it's the truss rod where you need to. And if you don't know how to adjust it, learn. Okay, the Zen video. There's one way to learn. There, I've done some other videos about it too. So find, or other sources, other channels that have made videos about that. Yeah, so okay, what is an action gauge? You know, it can basically be whatever. For me, it has been for about 25 years a coin like this. I have here a bunch of them. Some of you know, because I've told this story, this is not the first, probably not the second time, probably not even the third time I've tell it on a video, but I'm telling it again. Try to be very quick about it now. An action gauge can be whatever. And action gauge is an item that you place at the 12th fret. I think that's a good way to do it. You know, you place it at the 12th fret, you check both sides, low E, high E. You compare the distance from the bottom of the string to the top of the fret. And you compare that distance. You measure that distance with your action gauge. Whether it's an actual measuring tool or an item of that you just know. Like, I know that this thickness here, that it looks certain way when I put it there between the high E string and the 12th fret. I know how it's supposed to look there. So I know when it's when the action is what I like it to be. You know, and so when I do that, when I compare the distance there, that's what I call it, you know, calibrating myself. I'm not necessarily doing anything for the guitar. It's more a reality check for me personally. This way I eliminate the potential situation where I start wondering, oh no, you know, I start playing and playing. This doesn't feel good now. And maybe what's wrong? The guitar is wrong. Was something wrong? But before I even start, when I check that and I've confirmed that the guitar action is unchanged from yesterday when I loved it, I can be at ease realizing that, oh, it's not the guitar, it's me. I'm having a bad day. I had a better day yesterday. That's why the guitar doesn't feel the same. You know, okay. And here is a fancier version of this. This is my long time string gauge that works perfectly well, but there's more accurate ways of doing it, like this one. This is an action gauge. Available in a lot of places. This one was bought from that place. See, yeah, Stuart McDonald, StuMac. It tells what the coin tells too, but here we have a measuring scale. So this is a more accurate tool. Handy to have as a guitar maker, but I would say it's not absolutely necessary for you. Any little item will do that is of thickness that you can make work for you, your ideal action. And even better if that item fits to your pocket, to your coin pocket of your jeans, so you always have it with you. So whenever you pick a guitar, you make it a habit of checking it. Not every guitarist are like this, but a lot of us are. So, you know. There you go. That's it. We're moving on. Tool number 3. Tool we're going over time. My deepest apologies again for making too long videos. So this is a no-brainer. Somebody mentioned it there in the comments already. A guitar tuner. It's an obvious one, of course, and most of you have this in one or more format. These days, integrated into digital audio workstations, other software is everywhere. You know, it can be integrated in little blip part into your guitar, wherever, so, or amps or anywhere. But I still wanted to include it for a particular reason. You know, I wanted to just educate you about tuners a little bit. Cheap tuners, they're far better what they used to be. So you have endless options to pick from, and a lot of tuners will do the job, you know, as accurate as you need. But not all of them are super accurate, because many tuners, there is a difference in the principle they work. So often tuners are made in such a way that when a note starts to be in the sort of neighborhood of being in tune, the tuner sort of decides, okay, that's close enough, showing green light. A digital tuner would work like this. It just kind of zeroes it at, when you get to that range of plus minus 2 to 3 cents, which is quite much still. Cents here being hundredths of semitones. So I'm not talking about centimeters here, but in musical terms, cents. So in other words, when the note is within that range of plus minus 2 to 3 cents, the tuner shows green. It tells you you're in tune. And you can imagine that if one string is like plus 2 cents, another string is minus 2 cents, and your tuner cells, everything is in tune, it's not, and especially if you try to start again as a pro, like we do intonation settings all the time and stuff. So if these little inaccuracies multiply when we are adjusting first the intonation, and then we're tuning up the guitar and stuff like that. So all of a sudden you end up in somewhere where you feel that, oh, but I just adjusted everything and still it doesn't feel it's not right. So of course, if it's not right, it can be of other reasons. The nut can be too high. There can be other problems in your guitar than the type of tuner you're using, obviously. But all that stuff is beyond adjusting the intonation, beyond adjusting truss rod, the basic things as a guitarist. Actions taken further than that, lowering, making the nut slots deeper, or in some cases even moving the nut location and things like that. This is for professional repair shop. Do not do it yourself unless you're willing to take a risk, unless you're a hobby builder or whatever. So anyway, most of us aren't hobby builders. Most of us play guitar, so we just want to play guitar. We don't want to build guitars. So it's just the crazy ones that want to build them. Where was I? Yeah, so, and if such a cheap tuner now would be set for tighter accuracy, the sensor would need to be higher quality, and the circuit would need to be smarter in order for the tuner to not get confused and endlessly just flick between the red and green and red and green and red and green, like some tuners do. And back in the day, this was even more of a problem than these days, when tuners have become a bit better. But back in the day, the only type of tuner that overcame this challenge of measuring super accurately and simultaneously showing that result in a readable way without getting confused, they are what you call a strobe tuners. Somebody mentioned here, Mibu says here, I used for years the Strobe Tuners from Peterson. They also have a great iPhone tuner app. Thank you, Mibu. You're reading my mind. You're reading my mind. You're stealing my words from my mouth. It's not very polite. No, it's very good. Very good. We're alike. We're brothers, soulmates. So, but what Mibu says by Strobe Tuners, by Peterson Strobe Tuners, he means something a little bit else what I'm referring to. Back in the day, a true Strobe Tuner, they were not digital devices. They were fully analog mechanical beasts with a motor rotating a disc, and there was a light behind the disc, and then you could read the frequencies from that high-speed rotating disc. You still, to this day, you adjust your turntable to play your vinyls in the correct speed. You would adjust them with a strobe technology disc that you place on the turntable, and then you adjust, you fine tune until you get the frequency exactly right, so that the kind of the motion stops, and then you know that now it's the correct speed. So this is how the Strobe Tuner works. There's a disc that it feels like it rotating, and then when you get the note in tune, it appears to your eyes. It's like a hypnotic picture of that motion sort of stopping, and then you know that it's super accurately in tune. So these devices, they back in the day, they cost thousands or tens of thousands of euros, dollars, and only pros use them on tours, in studios, guitar factories maybe. Well, we have one of those beasts. Peterson still makes them as well. There's these really big boxes of mechanical devices, and they're still expensive, still accurate, but very clumsy because they're so big. But it's the coolest tuner ever, and the accuracy is superb, plus minus 0.1 cents. That's like dead accurate, and on top of that, it's very easy to read. So but as Mibu says here, the Strobe Tuners and the great iPhone app. So that's right. Nowadays, it's not necessary to own a true Peterson Strobe Tuner, the mechanical one, the beast, to get in tune. The thing, this thing, for example, is here that I have. Okay, Mibu mentioned Peterson Strobe Tuners. They're kind of digitally modeling Strobe Tuners. This one here, it's not. There's no battery in it, so I can't show it to you how it works. But this one here that we use, it's made by Sonic Research in the USA. It's called Turbo Tuner ST200. They have a smaller one, like a half of this, that is packed with the same features. It's a great. I don't know if it has same features. We have a bunch of these at our workshop that we are using. Like on every workbench, we have one of these. It's a really great. Also uses true strobe technology, even though it's a small box like this. It uses light, and it has some kind of a. I don't know exactly, but what it does is that we have compared many times, and it's the same 0.1 cent accuracy, and it's really amazing. And Peterson Strobe Tuners, the stomp boxes that they have, it's the same thing. They are very, very accurate. They are the leading manufacturer on the digitally modeled strobe tuning technology. And I'm also using that app that Mibu mentioned. You can find it for Android. You can find it for your iPhone from the App Store. You just look for Peterson. Maybe it's iStrobe or iStrobe, I think it's called. A price, I don't know, maybe like a fast food lunch or something. It doesn't cost anything. A few dollars, few euros. And it's as accurate as our big Peterson downstairs. It's crazy, I think. But great. I mean, I nothing against. Oh my God, it's past 10 p.m. in Finland. Accessory number 2. This one, okay. This one literally kind of binds together all the other ones. Literally binds them together. But I need to bring this first. Ruben, Sonic Research, Turbo Tuner is the best. Yeah, Ruben has been using the ST300 Mini. That's the half size. Those are good stuff. It's really good stuff. And one of the nice things about that I like actually better with the Sonic Research, these things, than the Peterson Strobe Tuners is that this is so like super fast. When you pick a note, it's immediately there's absolutely no latency at all. It recognizes the note like right there. So it feels very like in real time. You don't need to wait, and it doesn't you never need to question what's going on. What is it showing now? It's always kind of on the map. So it recognizes your note that you're playing. You can set it to different kinds of modes. You can program all kinds of like temperaments in it and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a very, very good piece of equipment. So we're moving on. Accessory number 2. What could it be that binds literally together all the other ones? Well, this is a little bit, I admit, you guys might feel that this is a little bit silly now. Strobosoft. Okay, sorry guys, I'm kind of like I'm reading the chat. I shouldn't read the chat now all the time. So it's not iStrobe, it's called Strobosoft. That's the name on App Store. Hello Peter. No worries, you're not late. You're here. That's good. And you can always, you know, if you kind of came in the middle of the video, the recording stays in YouTube. You can just check out the beginnings later. So now we're moving on. Okay, so this accessory number 2, it might feel a little bit silly for you, maybe, but of course you will need some sort of a case or bag or pouch, something to store those other guitar maintenance tools and accessories so they're easily and orderly available. So you might want to try and fit the stuff into your guitar case, into your gig bag. But personally, I haven't found that to be very practical for various reasons. Like when I need a tool or an accessory, you know, usually my gig bag or guitar case is never at hand. It's just too big to have next to me. It's stuffed away somewhere. Also, the tools may get lost in the depths of a gig bag side pocket. And what if a chemical bottle of chemical breaks? Well, I don't want it in my guitar case. I don't want to spill it on my guitar, and so on. You know, and in reality, I showed you these tools here. I have lots of them. I have sets that my luthiers are using here at the shop. I have my own set of tools at my workbench here at the shop, and you know, we have another set of tools in our demo room whenever we need a tool there at hand. Yet another tailored set, or even maybe 2 sets in our guitar show gearboxes that we kind of haul around when we go to shows. And then I have my personal sort of guitarist's tool bag at our band's rehearsal studio. So whenever the need comes, I have that tool and the tools for that guitar that I'm using. I have that easily at hand. So over the years, I've used different boxes, bags, cases, pouches, plastic bags, whatever, to keep these things in. And I'll show you here a couple of different solutions that I've tried over the years, just for fun. Okay, so let's indulge in the accessorizing madness here. Like, yeah. So first off, I'm gonna show you this. It's a big thing. It's like it's an aluminum case. I'm gonna just open it like that, because nowadays what it is, it's more like a graveyard of tools. It has all sorts of stuff in there. It used to be our show. Toolbox. It's very big. It's very clumsy. You know, traveling light is often good. So this was replaced a year ago, and for many years then I was using this as my tool pouch. So this is a tool roll, a leather tool roll from my old Harley Davidson bike that I don't have the bike anymore. This is the only part of it that I have left. So this was you know, it wasn't very practical either, because I couldn't fit all I wanted. The chemicals, they would be here like a little bit kind of risky, and also everything was a mess because there's no compartments or anything like that. So I used that, but then I let it go. And then eventually Emma, like often she does, she came up with what I think is really a brilliant solution that I use a lot in different variations, and it's here. Let me show you. Ta-da! It's a toiletry bag. So let me show you that. I know it's a bit silly, it's a bit funny, but let's bear with me. So what is good about this thing? Well, you know, you can hang it. You can hang it on a wall. You can hang it to your amplifier, at the back of your amplifier, back of a table, wherever you want to put it. You can hang it there. You know, and you know, you can fit these. Well, okay, some of the things are going to be in your pedal board, but you know, I can fit these things in here that I was just showing you. All this stuff fits very nicely in here. All the chemicals fit nicely into that compartment right there, so on and so forth. And in addition to that, I can fit here some things that Emma has found are very essential for me, even though I'm not ready to admit it. But there's a first aid kit when I hurt myself, so there's some plasters and stuff like that. I can fit a few spare sets of strings in it. I have here, I have to advertise this because this is very cool, super uber cool. It's this nice tin box from Mr. Fastfinger that of course has picks in it, and in this particular case they are none other than Mr. Fastfinger Mountain Attack picks. As you can see, maybe you can't see it. It's too bright. I'm gonna show you one of them because the picks are pretty cool. There you go. Mr. Fastfinger pick. No, it doesn't sharpen. The other camera was better. Anyway, so a toiletry bag, and as you can imagine, you know, there are so many different kinds available of these things in leather and all kinds of things. So, and I should really get another one, a bit smaller in size, to replace the messy tool bag that I have at our band's rehearsal room, because this is at our demo room here. And so that will be a fun little accessorizing, organizing project myself at the coming, you know. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's a great idea, and maybe you guys have figured it out already, like I think Poo Ninja has. He says all his bags are toiletry bags. So you have it already. You knew it. We're also soulmates, so you're thinking the same way. At least you're soulmates with Emma, and I'm I'm very happy that she came up with this. I wouldn't probably have come up with this, and so don't let yourself be kind of limited by what I've shown you here, because this is to get your imagination going. So finally, this was number 2 because Mibu says he likes that bag very much. Where can he get one? Mibu, please ask Emma where she has gotten that one from. But I think if you look online for toiletry bags for men, or maybe for women, it's just different colors, I think. Toiletry bags, there is an endless supply of all kinds that, you know, I would start from, you know, putting the assortment of tools to the table, that what you need to fit in it to your tailored toolbox, and then figure out that, okay, these are going to fit to about that or that size bag, and then get yourself one that looks the way you want, and that, you know, that works the way you want. So, yeah. Well, I'm glad that there came some prizes for something. So finally, here we come to the essential tool number 1 that every guitarist should own. Nobody has guessed it because you haven't written it down here. Maybe it will come as a disappointment to you guys, but I'm gonna show it to you. It's in this box, and it is not for your guitar, it's for yourself. It's your hearing protection, your ear protection. That's the number one. As far as I can see around, the younger generation is pretty good with this stuff. A lot of younger folks, they do use hearing protection when playing loud. They use it at concerts and so on. It's maybe for a problem, maybe more of a problem for us, the oldies. The old cynical fools, was it? That somebody said earlier. That, we never or rarely wore ear protection when younger because it just wasn't something we did. And so, hey, it's never too late to start and get used to it. The ones I have here for myself, these are custom made. It's molded for my ears. So they're made for musicians. And the filters I have here installed into these particular ones, they cut off minus 10 decibels of the noise. And what you hear, it comes through more or less natural sounding. So it's not like wearing earmuffs that cut off all the high frequencies, something like that. And you can replace, the filter comes off. So now it's just the shell, the kind of molded part, and the shell is here. So you can have different filters, minus 15, minus 20. Stuff like that. So, yeah. So this is invaluable to protect ourselves. And the price of these good ones that are molded to your ears, that they don't go to anybody else's ears, they go to my ears, and they sit there nicely like that. It's an investment. And how much is it? Well, about the same as one a little bit better quality stump box, give or take, around €200, $200, something like that. So it shouldn't break anybody's bank. It's an investment, as said, and rather than an accessory, rather than a tool. But I think it's the most important one. Yeah. Yeah, somebody's there joking, your tinnitus is ringing. What did you say? Exactly. Well, guys, the reason why I'm telling you about this is because I'm suffering of a tinnitus. Not a horribly bad case of it, but I am to an extent where really, yeah. And I'm 48 years old and I'm very stubborn and I kind of like the noise. I like the loud noise when playing with a band, when going to a concert. So I'm kind of reluctant of putting this on. And sometimes I don't. And my son keeps kicking my butt about it. That I should. Daddy, put him on, So regards to Salas, I'm advertising them. And I'm wearing them more and more. So yeah. Yeah. It's a good thing to have. Now, so there you have it. We're so much over time that I'll just try to wrap it up really quick now. And these were some ideas to get your imagination going, as said. So remember not to get stuck with these suggestions I had. If you have better solutions, ideas, share in comments down below. And yeah, and next, next video. Okay. So here comes. Next couple of weeks will be a bit different. No live streams, no podcasts. But in the meanwhile, Emma and I will tackle one particular how-to video topic that I have promised to do since the first 2 or 3 live streams were done in May. So it is indeed long overdue, and my apologies, these questions haven't been answered already. I'm talking about videos about how to string up your guitar in the very best possible way. And instead of a live stream, I feel it's better to do this as a proper close-ups and do an edited video like that, or actually a few shorter videos maybe. we're still thinking about it, how to do it. But so we're going to address particular types of instrument tuning machines, basses included. Oh, my daughter is here. Juno is here. Juno. I should protect those ears, yeah. Hugs and love from Daddy. And thank you for watching this madness. So yeah, so instead of a live stream, we put out a few shorter videos, and there are so many tips, cues, tutorials out there about stringing up your guitar, but from what I see, it is most often not really detailed enough to really teach how to do it right. A simple procedure that you might feel is a total no-brainer, but really I challenge you, in the coming week, 2 weeks, watch those videos. I think you might find at least 1 or 2 surprises in there. I'm quite confident. And if there's someone out there that can then put their name under and say that I knew everything what you told, then great, you passed the test. I don't know everything. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm very particular. I'm kind of quite analytic in that stuff. And yeah, so an example, a very simple example. There are several techniques how the string should be wound on the tuner post in a Les Paul or similar tuner, a tuner post that has a hole that goes through it, and you wind the string over it. There are several techniques how the string should be wound or can be wound, and there are even more opinions, which one of those techniques is the best way to do it. Well, I can tell you this. There is only one way, only one best way to do it. And most of the guitars I see around, they are not strung up that way. They're not. And I'm serious. So you have to watch my video and find out for yourself how I wind the string to the post, how I string up the guitar, and I try to go through every detail in such a way that you will learn how to do it that way, and then you can try it at least and see if there's a difference for you. Sounds fair, right? So a little bit other kinds of videos. I think I'm gonna put them out as on the coming week, 2 weeks. We're gonna put them out as premiere videos, so I can share with you guys the links before on my Facebook, on Instagram, send a newsletter of them, and so you can follow. And the best way obviously is that you subscribe to the channel, and there's that ring icon next to the subscribe button. When you click that, you're gonna be notified of the next video. So they're gonna be cool little videos, very particular. Just stringing up the guitar sounds very simple, but there are many steps and many things to think about. And yeah, I think there might be a thing or two to learn for everyone else. So guys, oh my god, 1.5 hour broadcast. Take care now. Look after your loved ones and be well. Share with your friends. Share the guitar love, by liking, by sharing to your social medias. by subscribing to this channel. It does help me to do this work. So share to your friends. So, you know, I'm seeing from the chat that Mibu got already advice from Emma. Great. People, peace, love, good music. Till next time.